the Twitch and the special RTMP stream we get.
Well, I like being in the SRL. Okay, and squad-a-la, we're off.
We have to start with CDI co-op because CDI is the best. Looks like sample name started slightly before TGH.
Don't worry, well, that's just a synchronization. We'll get it fixed. And there we go.
There we go.
Alright. Not a whole lot to say about the beginning here. We get the shield, we go get the sword, and it's just a matter of getting there in as quick a direct line as possible.
Yeah, they're going to use a technique called wall clipping, as you can see. They're sort of going into walls kind of weirdly, and this is because you can get in a bit deeper than you're really not supposed to be, and it can save time.
And it's not even clipping to the wall a lot, it's only about a pixel, but it's enough to let you do some very strange shenanigans, especially once we get into dungeons. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I think the most amount you can actually clip into is 3, normally.
Oh, dang, watch out.
Oh,
and
no.
TGH getting the quick sword, sample name not quite getting it. So that saves him about, what, a second?
He did get quick sword, but he got a slightly slower version of it where you get it after the owl.
Yep, there are multiple versions of Quicksword, TGH getting the optimal version, but they're still pretty much neck and neck at this point.
Now, you may notice that they are starting to kill enemies. That may come into account later.
Yes, killing enemies in a Zelda game is something you generally do, but in this game there's a little added wrinkle to it. And we'll be seeing what that is once we get into Dungeon 1.
It'll be a fun surprise.
Game's just full of fun surprises.
Okay, so they're about to enter the mysterious woods. Here they're going to get the key for the first dungeon, and they're going to use a small sequence break to get it a few... Did you get it before? Yes, you get it before you're normally supposed to.
Yes, because normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go find the mushroom, take the mushroom off to the witch's hut, get the magic powder, put it on not Mario's face, and then you can get the key. But that takes forever, so we're just going to take advantage of a little friend we got just chilling near a hole to get across the hole. This trick is called Moblin Skip, and this is probably the first chance we have for one of them to pull ahead, depending on how cooperative the Moblin is.
The Moblin does not like to cooperate most of the time. He'll often
Really doesn't. Basically, you're trying to force him to knock you across the gap with an arrow, and oh! TGH makes it across, but he is only at half a heart.
Okay, so TGH just got a small little trick called Owl Skip. If you do a frame-perfect save and quit on that chest to skip the text and to walk away from the chest, you can skip that owl speech.
Oh, and sample name takes a death.
Oh no.
Yeah, Moblin Skip is also, generally when you're doing for PB runs, one of the most common reset points. So this is the first spot where it's possible to lose a lot of time, and he gets it.
Good.
Good
It's
recovery.
also to say that, what was I going to say? Gosh, completely forgot. Sorry.
Sample name does not get the owl skip though, so now he's got to listen to this owl flap his gums for a few seconds.
That pause that TGH used to buffer the actual owl skip, I believe, is frame perfect. So
yeah, you're supposed to. You have to press pause on the frame after you open the chest, and then buffer the save and quit menu when you're getting out the pause screen. So this
makes it quite difficult to actually get the skip, especially if you're not very good with mashing or timing.
Yep. This game has all sorts of weird tricks, including embracing a life of crime. That's totally a trick, right? TGH proving he's a terrible thief, though.
Yeah. He hasn't got the speedrun thief strat yet.
And turns out the shopkeeper is Emperor Palpatine, and TGH takes a death. He'll live.
So TGH is just going for a text skip with the shopkeeper. Usually the shopkeeper starts to talk to you like, this costs 10 rupees and whatnot. You can just skip it with a save and quit though. We don't need to listen to him.
Despite the fact this is no save and quit, we make a lot of use of the save and quit menu, because it can be used to skip dialogue from opening chests, from talking to people, from all sorts of things.
We open the save and quit like several dozen times, but we never use it.
Nope, this is no save and quit.
Save and quitting is a glitch.
That depends on who you ask. Oh, but TGH is now heading on his way to Dungeon 1, the Tail Cave. Now that he has the key, which he got through some shenanigans. To find this game is just full of shenanigans. Much like right here, putting in the keyhole into the wrong side, the key into the wrong side of the keyhole. Totally works.
What a well-designed keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the first dungeon, and you'd think it'd be the easiest dungeon, you know, the first dungeon. Really easy, right?
You'd think so.
You'd think so.
But we're pretty much immediately going to have to do some precise, some tight movement, and also start taking advantage of the clipping to the wall, which we'll see a bit later in this dungeon.
Yes. So the first couple of rooms are nothing really interesting. You just sort of navigate to the item of this dungeon, which is probably one of the most broken items in this game. So it's helpful we get it this early on.
Oh, it gets a great pattern on the enemies, too.
Oh yeah, that RNG can sometimes not be cooperative.
Oh, but one of them gets knocked into the pit for keeping track of your enemy kill count. Enemies that get knocked into pits don't count as kills.
That's a fun fact.
Yep. And there actually is a reason we're keeping track of enemy kills, which we'll come back to. Don't worry.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Exactly.
There'll be a nice surprise for all of you viewers who've never seen an No 7 Quick Run.
Yeah. But the Rock's Feather's great because one thing you may notice is that previously they were both trying to avoid moving diagonally, because moving diagonally is slower than moving horizontally or vertically. But now with the Rock's Feather, jumping diagonally gives you the same horizontal and vertical movement speed as if you're just going in a straight line. So you'll see a lot of diagonal jumping. And that...
Oh. Do you want to explain it, or should I?
No, you go right ahead. You go right ahead.
Okay, so what TGH just did there was a super jump. For some reason, if you clip into a wall, and then sort of jump towards the wall, and then turn away from it and use like a bow or something, you can trick the wall into thinking you're actually on top of the wall, and then jump off the wall, and you can use that to vault over a lot of obstacles in the game.
But it only works in dungeons, though. You can't super jump outside of dungeons. And if you can figure out a way, then the entire community will probably make a statue in your honor.
Hmm.
And it's time for Moldorm. Oh no!
No.
He takes a tumble.
Yeah, he takes a tumble, but luckily, you can just buffer a jump up there and you will get back relatively quickly. Although it's not exactly great.
Yeah. Moldorm takes 4 sword slashes, but if you use spin attacks, it's a little bit faster.
Yeah, he takes 1 spin slash and 2 slashes. So that spin slash strategy is a bit faster.
And you may also notice on sample name screen that was a mini-boss. No, really. Just that the bow and arrow is something the game doesn't expect you to get until much, much later, so it's extremely powerful, and we're going to be taking advantage of that.
The game should not assume things of us.
Nope. Oh
no. Sample name just killed the boss and fell.
Oh.
No, he won't die because the boss will only die when you actually get the heart container and the achievement will open. So that kind of is very unlucky.
Oh yes, that used to be the bane of my existence way back when I used to have trouble with the D7 boss when I was a young child. Getting knocked off the platform after the eagle was dead. Ugh. Oh yeah, so one of the reasons we play on Japanese, aside from the fact that, you know, faster dialogue and all that, is that those kids running up to you in town, in the English version, you can't skip that. Japanese version, press B, ignore them. Go away, kids. We don't care what you have to say.
The actual reason we play in Japanese is because we're all a bunch of weeaboos, actually.
I didn't agree to this.
I'm just joking, it is, because faster text and you can skip some things.
Yeah. Certain version-specific things you can do.
It's also the 1.0 version of the game. That allows for several glitches which were patched in later versions. Such as actually the super jump glitch, which was patched.
Yeah, but hey, TGH and Sample Name are both on their way to pick up our game-long companion and friend, Bow Wow.
He's the best part of the speedrun, and I'm lying.
Absolutely, I have been pushing for at least a couple of months to try to get the category name changed to Bow Wow's Big Adventure. Unsuccessfully.
Name. I agree with you.
Because for anyone who's played the game casually, Bow Wow, you're supposed to just have him to get into Dungeon 2 and then return him, but we never return him. We just love him so much, we became so attached to him that we just take him with us everywhere we go for the rest of the game. And he's so thankful that he eats all sorts of things that he shouldn't be able to eat.
Also, he's supposed to be a dog, but I really have no idea how that makes sense. Oh my god, TGH getting god RNG in that area.
Oh god, yeah, because Bow Wow eats when Bow Wow wants to eat. Usually, and sometimes you just have to wait for him to decide to eat the flower. He just ate immediately. And
Ooh.
there it is.
The thing we've
Perfect
been building
enemy
up
count.
to.
Yep. Because if you kill... is it 20?
30 enemies.
30, okay. If you kill 30 enemies without dying, you get a piece of power, which does double damage, knockback, and makes you move faster.
It's quite helpful.
Oh, yes.
The reason this category doesn't save and quit is because when you save and quit, your kill count is reset, which means you won't be able to get the piece of power because, you know, your kill count will be at 0 and it's quite hard to get back up to 30.
And there are some situations where piece of power makes tricks a lot easier.
Yes. We won't get into them though, because that will be spoiling the room.
Yeah, you gotta leave a little bit of element of surprise. But, to be fair, moving faster alone is a great reason for piece of power. The downside is, of course, you gotta be careful, because if you take 3 hits from enemies, your piece of power goes away.
Yes, it's only 3 hits. It's not 3 hearts, it's just 3 hits.
Yeah. And hitting
Also,
spikes doesn't count, it has to be enemies.
the best part of piece of power is the fact that you pick up things slightly faster.
Yes. Picking
It's
up
the
pots is faster.
Real thing about piece of power, the fact that you pick up pots very slightly faster.
TGH took a hit, either. You should still be fine, but...
No, he has the piece of power.
Yeah, he has 2 more hits he can take.
Yes. Usually you don't really want to get hit at all with a piece of power, because it's quite risky to even, you know, get hit once, especially with this game and some enemies. But luckily TGH is, of course, the world record holder, so hopefully he has some idea of how to play this game.
Yeah, and a sample name proving that he is no slouch either. Aside from that Moblin skip, he has been playing every bit as well as TGH.
Yeah, Moblin skip is a really annoying thing, because even if you're a really good runner at this game, you still have no control over whether Moblin skip will work or not.
Yeah, so, sample name taking a hit by from a bat, though. So there's still any number of things, both RNG and not, that can cause trouble in this run, so there's plenty of opportunity for sample name to catch up.
It's not really decided until the final boss is dead and the timer is about to end.
And TGH getting the quick kill on the Dungeon 2 boss, not giving him a chance to start doing his circular teleport move. 2 bomb, 1 bomb arrow, boom boom, gone.
The reason you can actually do that is because when you wall clipped, the genie boss, it actually dies in 1 hit when you throw him against a wall. Usually you're supposed to like pick him up, throw him against a wall 3 times, and that's really long. No one really wants to do that. So you can just sort of use other things to do it.
Oh yeah, now wall clip is incredibly useful in more ways than one. Like right there, for example, you don't have to wait for Bow Wow to beat that flower, because you can actually wall clip around it, although it turns out Bow Wow did anyway. God, what a bro he's being today.
Okay, sorry about that, just a mic for a second. Mute
No
for a
worries.
second.
And TGH is heading toward the next big trick, the Villa skip, while sample name is taking on Dungeon 2 boss. Let's see how he does.
Villa skip is everyone's favourite trick.
Indeed. Because if you may remember from playing this game casually that you have to do this long quest thing where you talk to Richard, the jerk. He wants you to go get golden leaves from his castle, and then you come back, and you have to go on an adventure to get the key. We say, Richard, you get those leaves yourself. We're just going to go get the key. So, TGH takes a tumble, though.
Yeah, basically we're going to use exploit mechanic of this game. That pits don't really work well in this game, to be honest.
Nope. You're pause buffering until you hear the fall into the pit sound, and then when you unpause after that, it just launches you down a screen. Although it's taken him quite a few tries. Yeah, this is one of those luck things, because in his world record, he gets it first. He gets it after only 1 pause buffer, but here it's taken quite a few. And sample name, meanwhile, also getting D2 boss, no problem. And there you go, TGH finally gets it, and take a dig, and wait a second, that's a golden leaf. Well, that's because the game expects you to get the leaves first, but don't worry, it's actually the slime key, we promise. And we hope you like that clip, because we're doing it again. And that's just like that. We have skipped the villa, we have skipped the castle, we are on our way to Dungeon 3. Well, looks like P-Dog's having a little bit of internet trouble, so he's going to be out for a moment, so you're stuck with just me for now. And, oh, keyhole's on the other side! Doesn't matter, because keyholes are suggested in this game. And you may also notice that if you pause a little bit after you come into a dungeon, you can actually skip the dungeon opening box thing that pops up. There are ways of skipping pretty much every dialogue box in this game, it's just a matter of knowing how to do it. Oh, yeah, it looks like P-Dog's internet is out, so it's going to be just me for a little while until it comes back, hopefully. Meanwhile, TGH keeping his eye on his kill count. Ideally, in the next room, he should be getting the next piece of power. In this room he's in right now. And there it is! Perfect count. You gotta be careful, though. That Guardian Acorn, if it ends up being on the same enemy as piece of power, it'll override it. And right there, piece of power makes that clip easy. That one's actually... that mini-boss skip can be a bit rough without piece of power, but with it, you just wall jump... Just super jump off that wall, spin jump, and you ricochet off the Dodongo snake, and you're on your way. I'm trying my best to keep up with the tricks here. There's just so much happening so fast, it's a little bit tricky to keep up. Because as it stands, this is the key cavern, but we don't really get that many keys because we can skip. We disregard that first key block. We super jump over the second. We open the second one, and then we clip past the third one. Right here. Just jump into the corner and clip past it. Oh, didn't quite get it. Meanwhile, sample name, trying to set up to see if he gets the piece of power. Perfect. Both of them right on point with this piece of power count. Let's see if he can get the mini-boss skip. First try, no problem. Alright, TGH coming up on the Dungeon 3 boss. Sample name not too far behind, both of them playing extremely well. And TGH's getting that quick kill. Interestingly enough, despite the fact that we're focusing pretty hard on getting piece of power in specific spots, from here on out, it kind of stops being a concern, because now we have Pegasus shoes. So we really kind of stopped paying attention to it almost completely from here on out. And that'll do it for Dungeon 3. Now you have to... Now the fun begins. Because, bombs are the most broken thing. For example, on TGH's screen, there should be an owl. But there is no owl. Why? Because bombs. Because here's a fun fact about Link's Awakening DX. If you drop 2 bombs within 4 frames of each other, the game just has no idea what is going on, and just flips out, and will trigger an event on whatever screen you're on. Normally, you can't do this, because if there's a bomb on the screen, you can't drop another one. But you can if you do it on a screen transition. So, we are on our way to Animal Village, where there is a sleepy walrus. Normally, the game wants you to go get Marin, you have a nice soothing thing where you watch the seagulls with her, you chill out, she unsubtly reveals that she totally likes you. But none of that. Marin gets to go... Instead, we're going to use bombs to play music. No, really. Watch TGH do it right now. And behold, as the bombs suddenly play beautiful music, like the voice of Marin. This is a little bit tricky, though. There's one thing about this. If you do not do the setup correctly and leave after the first dialogue box but before the rabbit comes on, you soft lock, and you have to reset. And he gets it. No soft lock for TGH. But while he is in this mode, he cannot pause, he cannot use his A and B buttons until he goes through a door, which is why he is going to be heading up into this cave and then come back out to fight the mini-boss. And just like that, everything's back to normal. Time to fight the mini-boss to get the key. That sure was a mini-boss. I don't remember what it looks like either. Funny thing, Hitbox. Don't have to be able to see it to be able to hit it. And avoids falling in the hole. No hole of shame for TGH. And now Sample Name is going to be trying his luck with bomb triggers here as well. Looks like Sample Name is going to be trying the top of the screen bomb trigger, which is safer for a lot of folks, and for me personally is the only one I know. We now have a consistent strat for the left side, which is a bit faster, but a lot of folks still feel more comfortable doing the top of the screen. And what it really comes down to is comfort, because it doesn't matter how much faster it is if you accidentally soft lock because you're not comfortable with it. So there's no shame in taking the top of the screen bomb trigger. And he gets it, no problem. No soft locks here today, trying to get the walrus skip. Meanwhile, you will see that we're taking full advantage of Pegasus shoes, because unlike Link to the Past, in this game, you can actually start moving while the shoes are charging. You don't have to stand there for a second. So you're pretty much moving constantly, and that also means it's actually surprisingly easy to bonk, but TGH didn't get to be where he is by bonking constantly. So Sample Name, again, killing that mini-boss before we can even see it, not taking the tumble down the hole. And we are on our way to open up Dungeon 4. Everyone say hello to the fish that's just happy to be here. There he is. What a happy fish face. So with this, we're going to have to take our first foray up into the Tal Mountains in order to be able to jump down to where Dungeon 4 is. And with Dungeon 4, you're going to notice something interesting. Neither of them is going to actually finish Dungeon 4. That's because when finishing Dungeon 4 activates a certain flag in this game. And if that flag is active and you go further south than a certain point, you activate a ghost side quest. And the problem is that a couple of the dungeons are further south than that point. So what they're going to do is they're just going to get the flippers, and then they're going to leave. But before they can do that, there's a couple of tricksy tricks we're going to be seeing. First things first, TGH is going to do some bomb arrows to get that treasure chest, and then do a deceptively difficult jump in this next room, which involves Pegasus shoes and going around a block. Actually, he did it without Pegasus shoes. Yeah, that's actually a deceptively difficult jump, and he just did it like it was nothing. That's TGH for you. And now another thing that's not intended, but you might have done as a kid. Pegasus jump at a 90-degree angle. There you go. And on his way to the mini-boss he goes. Meanwhile, Sample Name, not that far behind, going to be entering Dungeon 4 here in a little bit. Let's see if he decides to... No. Well, let's see if he wanted to try to jump around those crystals, but he did not. Oh, takes a bonk, though. And TGH about to grab those flippers. And as you'll see, he's going to go back to the teleporter and just leave. So, with flippers in hand, I guess, on foot, we are going to just leave Dungeon 4 and then come back later. Instead, we're going to go do Dungeon 5 now. But first, head over to the teleporter. Meanwhile, Sample Name, let's see how Sample Name handles that tricky jump around the cracked block. Because it's, like I said, it's one of those things that looks really easy, but actually isn't. Maybe I'm just bad, because I always have trouble with that jump. In any case, there's the Catfish's Maw. Catfish's Maw is the home of the hook shot, everyone's favorite go flying across the screen really fast item. But it's guarded by an obnoxious mini-boss that we can't really do much about aside from just chase him down around the dungeon. But in this dungeon, this is going to be the last... And great timing. TGH gets Piece of Power right where he wants it. And in this dungeon, it's actually this is one of the dungeons where it's easiest to lose, and you really want to hang on to it here. Because it makes makes a necessary jump later in this dungeon a lot easier. So he's coming over this way first to get this key, even though the final fight for the mini-boss is over there to the left. We're gonna have to come back later, because he doesn't show up until you fight him in the other 3 rooms first. Meanwhile, sample name, already out of Dungeon 4. Oh, those Helmosaurs. Giving TGH a bit of trouble. But no problem, he makes it out. And here comes the first fight with the mini-boss. Thankfully, we know where he drops. Stalfos Knight, not for long. 3 bombs here, 2 bombs in the second and third fight, 3 bombs in the third fight. That's one thing you're going to be noticing. Bomb count and arrow count are very important in this run. That's why I bought two sets of bombs at the beginning, and they're going to be going out of their way to get pickups in a couple of situations to make sure that they have enough for everything. And already, here's the second Stalfos Knight fight. Knock him into the bomb, drop another one to give him a little hello, and we're already ready to leave. Fun fact: if you actually hit it with a bunch of bomb arrows, it plays a death animation in those side rooms before the 4th one, but it doesn't actually count as killing it, and you don't get the hook shot, unfortunately. That would be too easy. And here comes the third fight. Meanwhile, sample name sample name's going for that key, but has not gotten a piece of power yet. So hopefully that'll drop for him soon. And here we're going to see TGH do a super jump to go over those blocks, just like that. We haven't forgotten about super jumps, they're still there. Oh, that is actually one of the places you will take not a mandatory, what's the word I'm looking for? You will take an intentional hit, and this room right here, that jump is extremely difficult without piece of power. This is the real reason you want to hang on to piece of power for Dungeon 5. Oh, apparently, so, looks like Simply may have actually gotten the piece of power, but it has. Looks like there was a miscount or something. Sampling actually may have gotten the piece of power, and I just missed it. So that's my mistake for an overlook. But he is still, despite the slower walking speed, tearing through this. But he's going to definitely have a little bit of a harder time making that jump to the Nightmare Key. But in the meantime, TGH, going into the final fight with the Stalfos Knight, knock him to the right this time, so that way he can just grab the hook shot and get out of here as quickly as possible. And just like that. Yeah, the game normally wants you to take the hook shot then, because it's used to extend that bridge you saw in the room with the Nightmare Key. Yeah, but then you have to go all the way back there from here. But why? When you can just cheese it and jump over it using the Pegasus shoes and the Rock Feather. I wasn't joking about the Rock Feather. That item is pretty darn broken. TGH heading on his way toward the Dungeon 5 boss, which is one of the potentially more annoying bosses in the game because... Oh, he loses piece of power, but that's usually about where you're okay to lose it about here. If you're going to lose it somewhere, this is about where you want to lose it. Jumping over the gap like it's no big deal, and this boss pokes out of the wall in one of four possible places. It's random, so you're basically hoping you're in the right spot to grab it. If you're good enough, it shouldn't matter, but can still be tricky depending on how cooperative or uncooperative it is. Let's see how TGH plays this out. Oh, getting very good placement for the first one. Good number of hits, and there we go. Very cooperative Dungeon 5 boss for TGH. And sample name just not even taking a breather, giving TGH no time to rest. He's already heading down to where the hookshot is. And there's his piece of power. Unfortunately, he's lost some time because of the much faster movement speed TGH had with his piece of power, so Here's Sample Name's chance to catch up. If that bat would just cooperate, good heavens. Oh gosh, he's taking 2 hits already, though. Sample Name better be careful, or he's going to lose his piece of power sooner than he wants to. TGH did not manipulate that Wall Snake RNG, but he got very good luck on it. Absolutely. And minor miscalculation with that bomb there. Oh, he's down to only 1 arrow, but Stalfos Knight is dead, and Sample Name has the hook shot. So while Sample Name heads off to deal with Wall Snake, I can't remember its actual name. Annoying Wall Snake. TGH heads off to get the face key to go deal with level Dungeon 6, the face shrine. Oh, Sample Name takes a 3rd hit. Piece of power gone. That's okay. His health is good, and he knows what he has to do. It's going to be losing a little bit more time here, but still moving boldly forward. Also fun to note that the shield does continue to get some use here, even though a lot of times if you're playing the game casually, you just stop using the shield by the time you get the Rock's Feather, but it lets you bump these Armos out of the way. Oh yeah, and also it's time for mini-boss. You gotta beat up this jerk so you can get the key. So you just basically body slam like a football player, and he's dead. Now let's see how Wall Snake treats Sample Name. Look at that face key, it's happy! Alright, Sample Name, and... oh! Good positioning. Only gets 3 hits on it, though, so let's see if he gets better positioning for the second one. Oh, doesn't... that's unfortunate. Oh, he should be able to do it here. And just like that. One extra Wall Snake cycle, that's okay. The Wall Snake is dead, and Sample Name will shortly be heading after the face key himself. And so hey, you remember how we were talking about how Bow Wow eats more than just enemies? Well, you're about to see one of my favorite examples right here, because we're about to push the key in the keyhole that'll open Dungeon 6, which has this fancy animation where it rises out of the ground. But you know what? That takes too long, so we're just gonna say, "Hey, Bow Wow, you want to eat a cutscene?" And he ate the cutscene. Leave the screen, come back on screen, and look, it's open. That's right, Bow Wow eats cutscenes. We're gonna use it both in Dungeon 6 here, and we're gonna use it on Dungeon 7. And Sample Name wasting no time charging headlong toward the face key. TGH already tearing through it. Oh, getting those enemies cooperating so well. That room can be a little bit rough if the enemies decide to bounce away from that first bomb, but no trouble there. And the next couple of rooms are interesting, because you gotta deal with whiz robes, but we know where they pop up, so if we drop the bombs and do things just right, we can anticipate the whiz robes and kill them all with bombs. It's not super hard, but if you miscalculate a little bit, then it just wastes time, and bombs. More importantly, it wastes bombs. You don't want to waste bombs. And we also get to see another fun little trick here. If you use... so watch TGH walk up to that pot and do something weird. If you use the hook shot while you're right up against the pot, it makes you invincible. No, really. Not sure why it does it, but it does. And so we just get to stand here and watch tiles fly through us. But now with the level 2 power bracelet. Down here, here's one of the cool rooms. Watch TGH, and 4 whiz robes with 1 bomb. Meanwhile, Sample Name using a strategy that I'm not familiar with to deal with that boss. Oh, dang. Cutting a little bit close there. But he has the face key. Now we're going to watch TGH do some super jumps to get up top here. Do a sequence of super jumps. That strategy has actually changed. It's different than the one I learned And I think it's changed at least one other time since I learned this run, so... That's one of the cool things about this run, just that there are multiple strategies that are... The only thing the difference between them is just minor time saves. So, if it's a strategy that works for you, even if it's a little bit slower, by all means. Unfortunately, the routing that we're doing here means that you have to deal with... You have to deal with the horse heads. Oh boy, here we go. How many tries? Let's take the wagers. First try. No. Second try. No. Third try. No. Fourth try. No. Fifth try. No. These horse heads are not cooperating. Wow. What bad horse head luck TGH is getting here. Oh my gosh, that took a lot of horse head tries. In case you don't know what those are, you have to basically keep throwing them until they're both face up. It's complete RNG. There's nothing you can do to manipulate it. And that took a lot of tries. Here, the room just solves itself. What a polite room. Meanwhile, Sample Name has fed Bow Wow his own cutscene and is going into Dungeon 6. Unfortunately, because of the lack of the piece of power in Dungeon 5, there's quite a few seconds gained. The gap is widened a bit. But that's okay. Still a few more spots where he can make the comeback. Oh, and piece of power for Sample Name. That'll hopefully help him gain some time back in Dungeon 6. Since TGH did not get his until later on in the dungeon. Oh yeah, and that was the Dungeon 6 boss. It kind of sits there, and you put bombs on its face until it dies. I'm pretty sure I'd have a hard time fighting an Octorok on the overworld. But your reward is a triangle that plays itself. Hooray, I guess. Oh, and someone asking where P-Dog is at. P-Dog unfortunately has had internet troubles, so until he resolves it, which point he will come back, whenever that might be, you're stuck with me by myself. TGH doesn't manage to get the use bomb triggers to skip that owl there. Much like, because you can skip the owl there after Dungeon 6 like you saw him do after Dungeon 3. Meanwhile, Sample Name also laughing at Tiles because he knows the hookshot pot trick. But now that Dungeons 5 and 6 are beaten and we never have to go that far south on Koholint Island again, TGH is heading back to finish Dungeon 4. Because like I said, around the time I learned this game, we weren't quite sure what caused the ghost cutscene. We thought it was a certain number of screen transitions after finishing the dungeon, so we actually finished the Dungeon 4 last. Did 7 and 8 first, then came back and finished 4. But turns out that it's, like I said, going south a certain number of screens. So, we just finish this now, and then we just go up into the mountains and never come back down. So, no problems, no ghost, no dumb side quest. But you know what isn't dumb? This really cool trick where you just basically ricochet off a flying flower pot to get the key up top. Just like that. Just like that. And you may have also seen that you just kind of fell straight down. Interestingly enough, if you use the Rock's Feather to jump against a ledge like that and hold the jump button, you will sink through water as if it's just kind of not there. There's a lot of little tricks in this run that make it really cool to watch, and I'll also add really cool to actually play. You feel like you feel like a boss when you do all these tricks. Like, look at me go. Meanwhile, Sample Name is playing with the mouse in its ball. No, bad mouse. Bad mouse! Yeah, take that. Sample Name getting some extra bombs there, which is completely fair and understandable. Yeah, thankfully there are, if you're uncomfortable with your bomb count, there are several spots where you can refill them if you'd rather. You lose a little bit of time, but you know what? better to lose a little bit of time now than run out of bombs later, because running out of bombs, say, in Dungeon 7, that's a run-ender right there. Oh, sample name. Accidentally taking a tumble into the pit there. That's okay, because he's about to come up on the easiest boss in the game. Even before you can see it, you can still attack it. This game has a bad habit of doing that. Activating hitboxes before you can see enemies. But TGH is coming up on what some would say is the big gatekeeping trick in this entire run. Because normally, when you play this game casually, to get the Dungeon 7 key, you have to go resurrect the flying rooster and use it to fly across a room that's just one enormous pit. It's not a straight line pit, so you can't just jump across it. But that takes forever, and we don't have the ocarina, so instead, we're going to use a trick wherein, when you... if you use the hook shot, the game doesn't check if you're on solid ground, so watch TGH here very carefully. And when you retract the hook shot for 1 frame, if you jump on the frame it retracts, just like that. That was a flawless rooster skip. Oh my god, that was so good. A lot of folks learning, myself included, will actually use buffer tricks to get that, but being able to do it without having multiple hook shots, just like that, is extremely difficult, and TGH makes it look easy. Meanwhile, sample name, trying to do the bomb triggers, doesn't quite get it either, that's alright. And he's on his way now to finish Dungeon 4 as well. Yeah, no, there's no shame falling in the pit while you're learning this run. I spent hours trying to get that semi-consistent, and even still, I fall into the pit from time periodically. Rooster skip is no joke. It takes a lot of practice to get consistent. But hey, guess what time it is? It's time for Dungeon 7, which means it's time to feed Bow Wow, because he's been such a good companion, hasn't he? This time, normally you'd have to wait for the tower to spin around, but nah, we'll just let Bow Wow do his thing. And just like that, cutscene's been eaten. And the tower's open. Now, Dungeon 7, as you might recall, has this gimmick where you're supposed to pick up a metal ball and use it to break pillars so that the 4th floor falls into the 3rd floor. But guess what? Pillars breaking? Those are events. So guess what we get to do? That's right, we get to abuse bombs again. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either do it on screen transitions, or TGH is going to probably drop them into a hole real fast, because dropping them into a hole, just like that, lets you drop multiple bombs in rapid succession. That one's tricky, though, because if you don't do it fast enough, you just waste bombs. As you saw there, TGH used more than 2 bombs. Gets that one on the screen transition, and let's see, he has 1 more pillar to go. And just like that, all pillars broken, no trouble. Meanwhile, sample name making sushi out of that fish, like... that fish is a joke boss in any way, shape, or form. Just hit it with a spin slash, couple of bomb arrows, and just... it's nigiri for everybody. And that sure is a mini-boss that we're ignoring. There's so much going on, it's a bit tricky to keep up with it, but I'm trying, by golly. Yeah, D7 was my least favorite dungeon playing casually. Oh, here comes the other difficult trick, Goomba Stomp, and oh, move to the right, Goomba, move to the right, Goomba. Oh, dang it. At this point, you're at the mercy of, oh, there we go. Gets it. You're at the mercy of the Goomba placement to super jump onto it and bounce up to that platform. Yeah, speedrun strats make D7 an absolute joke compared to being the most obnoxious one casually. Meanwhile, sample name also on his way to do Rooster Skip. And TGH taking care of the Dungeon 7 boss. By the old strats, you used to do Dungeon 8 first, so you just have the fire rod and just have a big ol' laugh. And to be fair, bombs are just about as much of a laugh. And just like that, Dungeon 7 is finished, and TGH picks up the organ. And he is on his way to Dungeon 8. Now, getting into Dungeon 8 is actually can be one of the trickier things to do, just because, again, you're supposed to bring it to life with the Turtle Rock to life with music and then kind of go in, but we don't have an ocarina. And also, you have to get past that flamethrower. Oh, but first, a little bit of save quit magic to jump over that hole. And okay, sample name about to try Rooster Skip here. I wish him the best. Come on, sample name, you got this. Getting ready, and... Oh no! Sample name takes a fall. Meanwhile, TGH going to be mean-spirited and leave poor Marin stranded on the bridge. That makes me sad every time I have to do it. Marin is best Zelda girl, fight me IRL. But no, that's the big problem with Rooster Skip, is that if you happen to screw it up, which happens to everybody, always using the save and quit strats, and alright. There's no shame in buffering, because this is a difficult trick with it, which is very costly to screw up, as you saw there. Because you get knocked back outside if you mess it up. Alright, come on, sample name, you got this, man, you got this. Oh, meanwhile, TGH, and just like that, oh! If you hug the left while you charge forward with the Pegasus shoes, you can just barely get around the flamethrower. But you gotta be careful because it does a lot of damage to you. And now bomb triggers here again, and sample name getting the key while TGH uses bombs to wake the Turtle Rock from the dead. So much going on all at once. What a race this is. And Turtle Rock. One giant labyrinth of a dungeon that we're going to ignore most of. So, first thing you do, you super jump over this, and you take advantage of bomb arrows to blow holes in the wall. Normally the game expects you to blow it up from the other side, but we don't have to do that, because we have bomb arrows. And we're also going to take advantage of... If you clip into a block and push it, you can actually push it from the side like that, which is a cool trick. That's usually the only place you see it, although it's actually possible to also do it in Dungeon 7 if you don't feel like wall jumping. You don't feel like super jumping over the blocks after you blow up the last pillar. Another super jump here, and he is on his way to Blano. Meanwhile, Sample Name about to take care of his dog here, and... Oh no! It didn't work! He did not get the cutscene skip, so I guess we get to watch Eagle Tower open normally. So interestingly enough, there is actually a way to skip Blano. Unfortunately, skipping Blano requires you to step on the tiles in the middle of that top screen there, which, by the definitions set by the community, counts as out of bounds, so we can't do Blano skip in this category. Because, as you might recall, this race, this tournament, is no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds. And a tile that's even if you can step on it using shenanigans, if it's a tile that you would not be able to reach normally, it counts as out of bounds. A Blano skip. Blano being the Dungeon 8 mini-boss with the boxing gloves. Now, time for this little room here TGH is in. There's a puzzle to get the Nightmare Key. And if you're good at it, you can actually jump toward where the chest spawns, so you have to walk less, just like that. Meanwhile, Sample Name managing to do the final bomb trigger there to break the fourth pillar. Looks like he had a little bit of trouble, because his bomb count's a bit lower than he'd like it to be, I'm sure. It's very easy to use more bombs than you intend in Dungeon 7, especially if you're using bomb in the hole strats, but... Now Oh! Sample Name doesn't do the Goomba Bounce, he does it the old way, which is Ricochet right here. onto those blocks, just like that, and walk across. That's actually the strategy I know as well. I don't actually know how to do the Goomba... Goomba Hop? I forget what it's called, actually. And... TGH, please. And that was Hothead. Hothead is basically bounces around, you hit him with a fire rod, and yes. There are actually a couple of other tricks there, which, I don't want to focus entirely on TGH, so we'll cover those tricks when Sample Name gets there, no worries. But good heavens, is it that time already? Because TGH is heading on his way to the egg. So there's a couple things to note about the egg. First of all, again, we don't have an ocarina, so we're going to be using bombs to play the Ballad of the Windfish. No one plays bombs like Link. No one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a mayonnaise and instrument joke here somewhere. Oh yeah, but first you have to talk to the owl a couple more times. Alright, and we're just gonna go up here, drop a couple of bombs, and put that bomb to your mouth, Link. It's time to make beautiful music. There we go. So important thing to note. So you may remember when you play this game casually, there's this really long trading sequence you have to handle, where you have to start with a Yoshi doll, do a bunch of stuff, blah blah blah, pineapple, blah blah blah, bikini top, then you get the magnifying glass to read the pathways to get through the egg because it's a maze. Well, as it turns out, that random path is only generated when you check the book. So, if you don't do the trading sequence to the magnifying glass, there is a preset sequence, and we just happen to know what it is. It is left, left, up, right, right, up, left, up. So, with that knowledge in mind, we don't even have to do the trading sequence, we just go in there and make our way to the final nightmare. Yes, Green Tunic. Fun fact, in the English version of Link's Awakening, you are returning the mermaid's necklace, but in the Japanese version, she lost her bikini top. Which is why she is only head above the water until you give it back, at which point she sits on the rock. And TJ is going to be dropping some bombs here to try to skip the dialogue. He gets it. Now let's see if he can skip the first phase. It's stand on a certain pixel, and if you do it right, you don't have to use powder on it. And he gets it. Man, TJ is having a great run. Now it's time for good times with Aghanim, where you just basically hope that you don't get blue-balled. So far, so good. Sample Name getting past the flamethrower in the meantime. No trouble for him there. Oh, one blue ball for TGH. And Sample Name gets grabbed. Oh, piece of power to break free from the like. By which I mean still be stuck in the like. This game is weird sometimes. Getting that bomb trigger to activate Turtle Rock while TGH finishes off Nightmare Aghanim. And Nightmare Moldorm, which you just hit him with, I want to say 13 times? Ah, it doesn't matter, he's dead. Don't have enough time to talk about the numbers. It's going through these phases way too fast. And hold on to your hats, folks. TGH is coming on to Deathel, the most RNG part of the final fight, and also the final phase. Gotta hit him with, I always forget the number, I want to say 16 arrows? So you hope he opens his eye frequently. Oh, he's not opening it. Oh, there we go. Oh. One more eye open should do it. And the final hit. Deathel is, well, dead. So now the stairs appear and timing ends when the screen fades to white. And GG to TGH, who finishes with an SRL time of 54:35. Which is a very good time. But we're not, we haven't forgot about our friend's sample name. Here goes, taking on Blano, the boxer with a sword. That feels kind of like cheating. But then again, if he punches you, he knocks you back to the beginning of the dungeon, so you don't want to get punched. So let's watch sample name for a bit here, because he's about to do a really cool trick that I completely missed on TGH's stream. Because to get to the nightmare door, you have to normally take a bunch of detours and stuff, but it turns out if you jump into the lava and do some pause buffering, you can actually just kind of walk along the edge of the wall, and you'll see him do it here in a moment. Meanwhile, look at the windfish. Look at that giant, fabulous space fish. Alright. First things first, Sample aim has to take out the Dungeon 4 mini-boss again. This time it's in lava. And meanwhile on TGH's screen we get to watch Colon Island disappear into the mists of time. Because it was only a dream. Goodbye, Mario. I mean, not Mario. Bye, Marin. And fun thing about that room with the Nightmare Keen Dungeon 8. I'm pretty sure that you can watch 10 different LADX speedrunners and all of them do a different jump pattern to get to that treasure chest. Everyone just figures out a way that works for them. Alright, now watching this next room. Sapling will grab the arrows, then he will jump into the lava. Oh, didn't quite get it. Jump into the lava and pause buffer. There you go. And then just run along the wall and super jump to the nightmare door. Ta-da! Now let's watch Hothead. Ideally, you kind of get him, you kind of freeze him in place just like that. Oh, that was a really good Hothead fight. Nicely done, sample name. Getting that last heart container, grabbing the... I forget the name of the drum. They all have really pretentious names. Full Moon Cello. Keyboard of the Evening Calm, or something like that. No, I don't remember all of them. But the fact of the matter is, sample name is also on his way to the Windfish's Egg. Thunder Drum. Thank you, Spice Father. I have the manual somewhere. It's just been a long time since I've read it. But... oh! Sample name, please. He's been falling into an awful lot of pits. Remember, kids. Talk... that joke broke down before I could even say it. Pretend I didn't say anything. But goodness, the Fire Rod sure is a fantastic weapon, though. Am I able to stay on for commentary? I don't see why not. Although, I think traditionally we have folks switch out, so a couple other folks want to pick up on commentary for me. That's fine. One other person wants to join me. That's also fine. I got nowhere to be. And there we go. Sample name about to play the Bomberina. Look at him jam on those explosives. His performance is a blast. Pardon me while I act unprofessional and take a drink of my tea while the music is playing. I don't care what Majora's Mask says, this is the real Ballad of the Windfish. And one final owl for this race before sample name goes in and puts this to rest. Talk about percussion. Don't know too much about it, I'm afraid. I don't really play percussion. I play piano, which I guess is kind of percussion in a weird way. Yes, Blargzilla, there is. In the Majora's Mask, when you do the side quests for the Romani sisters, you end up going to the Chateau Romani, and you meet the one guy who wants to put the band back together, and the band knows the Ballad of the Windfish, but it's not really the Ballad of the Windfish. Yo, Sample Name getting both the music skip and skipping that first phase. Let's see how he does with Nightmare Aghanim here. Hey, so far so good. Wow, dang. I guess get him one more hit here. Yo, no blue balls! Real good Sample Name, real good. And that's a strategy I've never seen for how to deal with Nightmare Moldorm, but hey, whatever works. Just kind of keep poking it with the sword. Oh, come on, Sample Name, you're being a little bit too saucy. And now it's time for Deathel. Let's see how Deathel treats Sample. No! Don't jump into the arms! Alrighty. Oops, only got three arrows there. You can get up to 4 for one eye opening, but if the arms don't cooperate, sometimes you just can't. Alright, come on. Come on, open up. Deathel, no. And see you never, Deathel. Get the heck out of here. It's time to wake up the Windfish. And moonwalk to victory. Sample Name finishes his run with an SRL time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 5 seconds. So GG to TGH, our winner, and GG to Sample Name for a strong showing. So let me check to see if either of them are going to be joining me in here. So I know sometimes on Speed Game we do interviews here, but it doesn't look like we're going to be doing that this time. No, it doesn't look like it. But you know what? That was quite a ride from start to finish. Yeah, there was some RNG nonsense, and Moblin Skip is it's Moblin Skip, but I'll be damned if these two didn't put on a heck of a show. So let's hear it again for TGH and Sample Name. Two fantastic runners for LADX, no squoob. And boy oh boy, I sure hope you like Link's Awakening DX, because we've got even more coming up next. And Sample Name and TGH are in here with me. Congratulations, TGH.
Hey, thanks. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. That was a heck of a run, both of you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was interesting. Congrats again, TGH.
Yo, thanks, Sample. Good race, man. Good run. Thanks. Well, guess that's it. All right, see you guys. Jeez.
Well, it's-
Wonderful.
gosh, such a hurry. Yes, anything you want to say? Any thoughts you have about how that went or anything like that?
That was a weird run, honestly. Honestly, couldn't believe some of the RNG I was getting like early on, like Villa Skip. Like, what was that?
Yeah, that took a lot of tries.
Yeah, I think it was. I saw chat saying it was 15. I didn't count at all, honestly. I was just like sitting there saying, like, "Is this over yet? Like, are we gonna get to the next part of the game soon?" But basically, yeah. I'm pretty proud of the way I handled it, though. You know, I just like sometimes I get upset at that RNG and get on tilt, but there was no such thing here.
Oh, no,
So I
very clean play.
was pretty proud of the way I handled it.
Absolutely. That was it's just everything was spawning, and that rooster skip, it was just so clean.
Oh yeah, it's like Rooster Skip is definitely one of the things I practice the most, and I'd like to think that it shows that way. But yeah, Rooster Skip is just so important to be able to do consistently, and I feel I definitely attribute my success at Rooster Skip to the practice I put into it.
It's a sample name. You just had some trouble with Moblin and Skip right there at the beginning, but after that, you were still playing damn well. I mean, you were just a hair behind him for the TGH for the longest time.
Yeah, I felt like when I was playing, there were a lot of times when I just like wasn't thinking at all. So like with Moblin Skip, I kept like walking into the wall and then just like getting hit by him and not going anywhere. But I mean, I got actually pretty perfect RNG throughout the entire run, which was kind of funny, but I just had like a lot of moments where I wasn't thinking. But other than that, I was pretty okay with my performance.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a strong showing. Definitely puts any run I've ever done to shame, I'll tell you that much. But that's all I've got as far as questions or anything of that nature. Anything else you guys wanna add or say?
Not necessarily. I mean, honestly, it was a good race. Thank you very much, Sampling. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know
Thank you
there's
for the race.
another. I know there's another race coming up between what is it, Spice Father and I'm blanking. I don't know who his opponent is.
I'm actually blanking out as well. Let me... Fizzo, maybe?
Mighty Mouth. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. I'm just scrolling desperately through Discord and I can't find the names. Alright, Gravone says it's Might Myth. Okay. So that's who we've got coming up next. But again, many thanks TGH and Sample Name for a fantastic race. It was a pleasure to watch, and it's always good to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
absolutely.
Thanks for commentating. You and P Dog. I heard P Dog had some problems, but thank him for me.
Yeah, I'll be sure to pass it along. I'm sure he's hopefully listening on his phone because I guess his home internet just crapped out and just didn't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
happens.
that was something that was going on with me like right before the race started. I
I know
couldn't
the
get my
feeling.
internet to work. But yeah, thanks a ton for everything, and good luck to the next runners on their race as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having us.
All right, thank you very much for stopping in.
And again, thanks to Feasel for hosting this tournament as well.
Absolutely, we can't thank him enough for doing all the work behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly.
And of course, everyone else who's Bamboo Shadow, Spearster, everybody else who's heading the tournament as well and running things behind the scenes. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thanks again for stopping in, you two.
No problem. Thank you.
Yep, take it easy.
All right, have a good one.
See you, and good luck to the next runners as well.
All right. Thank you to Sample Aim and TGH for coming in and saying a few words. I have no questions prepared, so apologies if that was a bit clunky. And here's... I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Cravone?
Cravone, yes, you got it right.
Great.
So, next it looks like we've got a match in Group E, the first match in Group E, between Mighty Mouth and Spice Father.
Alright. Sounds good to me. Now, I don't have my finger on the pulse of every single runner in LADX, so I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about these two. But we'll definitely figure out what they got as we get rolling.
I've been asking around for stuff to sort of say about Spice Father. So he actually runs quite a few different games, aside from LADX. Gonna check his PB. His current PB is a 58.20.
Oh, sub-hour. All right, that's always a strong indicator of he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he has a good chance of winning this race. His opponent, Mighty Mouth, or Mighty Myth, I don't know. I never know how to pronounce his name. He has a 107, but he's very new to running this game. It's a 107.31, which is his personal best. He is very new to running this game, but he is an experienced Oracle of Seasons speedrunner.
Oh, okay.
Which means he has the potential of sort of picking this game up very quickly. So during this tournament, we should see some big improvements between different games from him.
All right, absolutely. So this is going to be an interesting race, just to see how much of that Oracle experience transfers over to consistency in racing.
Yeah, I think possibly his downfall would be his lack of experience with the game casually, because in a race, let's say in a normal speed run, things can go wrong, and when they do, you usually reset. However, when you're in a race, you can't reset. So, knowing backup strats is really important, because things do go wrong sometimes, and you need to be able to recover from that. You need to know pickups in certain dungeons. And even if you're comfortable with, the movement mechanics, which is similar to Oracle's, but not the same with boots, even if you're good with that, not having knowledge of sort of the rest of the game can sort of harm you if you make any mistakes.
No, you're absolutely right. Knowing the strats only helps you only when you're really going for perfect runs, because when the things start going south, only experience can really help you with that.
We rarely see PBs in races like this, and I don't think we've ever seen a world record done in a race in LADX history. And this is because races are just you don't reset. So
Nope.
You never have the perfect run in a race.
At least you certainly hope not, because otherwise you just start stressing.
Yeah, I mean, if the previous race of TGH, if that was his normal runs, he would have probably reset when he was getting such bad RNG. But in a race, you can't really do that.
Nope, you just have to roll with whatever the game gives you, be it for better or worse.
Unfortunately, this is a game which is sort of double-ended in terms of RNG. There's quite a bit of RNG in the first 5 minutes, which can be irritating at times. And then there's massive RNG right at the end as well with Final Boss. But it does make races quite exciting, because you can have runners entering the egg a minute apart, and it's by no means a decided race at that point.
Oh,
at that
absolutely.
point, like someone could get like 3 blue balls and bad death RNG, and they have the potential of losing that race, even though they're a minute ahead.
Yeah, and that's where the experience starts coming in, because since you can't control the RNG, all you can do is be consistent at your movement, be consistent at the strats that you can control, and just hope that's enough.
The thing you have to not do is drop Moldorm, and like you said, that comes from experience. Like you can't control some of the RNG that happens in this game, but you can make up for it by not making mistakes elsewhere.
Absolutely. Let me just, I forgot to keep my eye on SRL here, so I want to make sure I don't miss the channel opening for the new game.
Oh yeah, I need to open IRC.
Okay, let's see. I want to say it's this one? No, that was the one for the previous race. Have they not made this? Have they not made the channel for the race yet?
I'm not sure if they have.
I'm gonna reopen the IRC, or refresh it rather. I think I might have missed it.
Okay, I've got it. Let's see if I can get the name of it
Okay.
for you.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, both the races are in there, and they're readying up now.
Mighty reading up before he's got a save file made.
I guess in the meantime we can make an interesting, just point something out that if you look at the title screen on Mighty's screen there, you have pine trees in the background, but if you played this game, the English version, those are palm trees. Minor change.
Pine trees on this kind of island make no sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
The interesting thing about this game is that it was never actually like intended to be a big game from Nintendo. It was basically made by a small development team that were going to make a different game, and then it ended up being a Zelda game.
Yeah, they were just kind of messing around in their spare time, and just other folks at the company just said, "That looks pretty neat. We can actually turn that. We can actually make a Zelda out of this."
Yep.
And I'm glad they did. I love this game.
Didn't they use the same engine for Oracle of Ages and Seasons as well?
Yep, although despite that, Oracle of Ages and Seasons still feels a little bit different.
Yeah, they sort of expand on it. They're sort of pushing the engine to the maximum in that sense.
Oh, the countdown has begun.
So, looks like they're starting.
And
If I don't have... Yeah, I have some amount of delay, I guess.
there's always going to be a little bit of delay. It's alright.
I said they're starting like half a minute before they actually start.
Well, the race is in progress according to the SRL bot. They just haven't started on stream.
Yeah, we'll see.